What's happening?
Time for song.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Let the games begin.
Greetings, Visionaries. Welcome to Velen's Chosen. This is the podcast that is geared to buff your Hearthstone game. We exist to help anyone stay competitive on the ladder without breaking your bank. We talk about gameplays, deck constructions, and arena skills just to make you a little bit better and to help you accomplish your Hearthstone-specific goals no matter what card pool you may be limited to. Today is the very day the whispers of rumors and old gods are true. Joining us, we have the one, the only, Cthulhu, Andrew.
Hey, Rob.
What's up?
Hey,
Are
how
the
many
rumors true?
tickles? Hey, how many tickles does it take to make an old god laugh?
10 tickles.
That's right. Get it?
Oh, maybe we should change Cthulhu's name over to Pun Master, but in the other corner we have the same one of all four of us. We have Evemartyn. What's up?
Oh, I have been waiting for this day for such a long time, and I'm gonna try and keep the level of enthusiasm that I brought with me to the announcement.
It's still Friday, so we still got a chance, right? And,
Yeah.
And our fourth and final member is our recurring professional guest that keeps us all level-headed with excitement, Joe Amboy Williams. What's up?
How's it going?
Oh, it's going.
I'm a little. I don't know. We'll talk about how I feel about the expansion later, but I'm happy they finally announced it.
Hey, it can't be that bad
Underwhelmed.
because we haven't seen a piloted Shredder-esque card yet, right?
Yeah, right. 100% on that.
Yeah.
And I'm your host, RobMay. I push buttons and make sure our audio breaks every week. So,
Someone's got to.
all right. So the discussions today, there will be no discount deck. I am sorry. I actually have like 3 that I was really pumped to talk about, but I'm backlogging them for the next 4 to 5 weeks because we're going to be delayed on more than just the announcements. That's because Whispers of the Old Gods is now the next Hearthstone announced expansion as of a couple hours ago today. On Friday, March 11th. So that's why we're not going to
Let's
do a
just kind of
discount deck.
assume that some of our listeners didn't see the announcement, haven't read the news, and need to kind of be filled in on the basics.
Okay, so let's start right with you then, Eve. What happened today?
Well, Ben Brode and John Woo,
Yongwu.
Yong, sorry,
The Yong
not
Math
the
Dust.
director with the doves.
No.
Yong Woo got on their Twitch channel and made the announcement that it was, in fact, the Old Gods expansion that people had been whispering about and that we had kind of teased with that poster that people were putting up, and we weren't sure whether it was a fake or not. So it has been revealed it is true, Whispers of the Old Gods.
Very exciting.
We were hoping for a lot more cards than we saw.
We only saw 6 today.
A lot more information than we got, but we did all of us kind of search the net for as much little pieces of information that we could get from all over. So we have brought you every tiny little detail that we could get to make it
Including an
as big as
hour-long
we could.
interview that I watched literally 5 minutes ago I finished. And it is, or about 10 minutes ago I finished, that Gara was had with a closed-door meeting on Tuesday with the devs, Q&A. So, very exciting stuff. We have an official post that we've scanned from Polygon, Hearthpwn, Hearthhead, and, of course, the best community of everywhere, Reddit. So, you can, hence, the sarcasm in the air could kill a fly. So, let's move on.
It's just
to
a whisper. It's just a
our-
whisper.
Yes, but Whispers of the Old Gods are like death to the living. So let's get into
they drive you insane.
the
just
main
like
topic
Reddit.
of the day, which is the Whispers of the Old God expansion and all of that ensues.
Okay, so for people who, sorry,
Gotta wait for the soundbite. I know you can't hear it this week, but Okay, so the first and foremost thing that we're going to get to you is, we already told you where all the links are, but what is the total, like, lowdown of the TLDR? Totally did not have time for this episode. We're going to give it to you right in the outset so you guys can get out of here if you want to, and then you can go into the details after that. So let's start with Andrew. What's the first thing on the docket as to what is happening with the expansion, like all the details that we have here?
What's TLDR?
Too long, did not read.
Oh, right. Okay.
I was wondering what
So-
that meant.
I obviously did read because I never think it's too long or something weird. I don't know. Okay, so we got 134 unique cards coming our way. Out of those, typically you see about 20 legendary. You got one for each class, and then you got several neutrals. We know for sure that we're going to get 4 neutrals that are the old gods themselves. One is c-thun, and then the others are...
Yogg-Saron,
You can probably say them.
Yashari, and Inzoth. Inzoth has not ever been seen, and Yashari
So that's
is
cool.
a old god that's Whispers was the one that corrupted Orgrimmore's leader, Garrosh Hellscream, but Yashari was killed, and it was only killed because the only piece that was existing in the plane of existence was his heart. So that
we'll
means
probably
2 out of the
see-
4 old gods are going to be released as to what their forms look like in Hearthstone, and not in any other game
That'll be a big
before.
deal.
This will be a huge deal.
So that'll be
People
fun.
who play
and
World
it-
of Warcraft and know all about these guys are going to be super excited to maybe get some more information out of the Hearthstone community.
Warcraft
Even I
Warriors are
bet
gonna have a
people
heyday.
who are World of Warcraft players who haven't gotten into Hearthstone yet, I'm sure are going to at least take some interest in seeing what's happening with this. So probably a
Yeah.
smart play on their part. We did get confirmed that all 4 of those old gods cards are going to be 10 mana, so they're going to be crazy, and we'll get into the ones that we know about later. 16 out of those 134 cards are going to be themed directly for c-thun, so they're cultists, and we'll explain that as well. The expansion is going to be released at the end of April or early May, but come on, guys, we know it's probably going to be early to mid-May, unfortunately. So we're hoping it'll get bumped up, but we'll see what happens with that.
And then we have a
So
Monday.
those are the broad details.
Yeah, that's the broadest details that we have available to you. We're getting into more details. Joe, why don't you give the listeners what's happening Monday? Like, what are we got an update as to some changes that will happen in a patch that hits Monday, but what's in the patch?
All right, so this is the biggest patch in Hearthstone history, basically. 9 more deck slots, so no more low quality Reddit posts about 9 not being enough. If you live in Thailand, you're now going to have a server. I don't know if you get your own server, but you're going to be able to play in your own language, which is cool for you.
For sure.
Deck recipes, which are probably a really neat tool if you're not really that great at deck making, or you want like some assistance without like going online, just copying pros decks. So those will probably be interesting. And then I think that's it. The pre-purchase will be available.
The 14th.
Yeah, that comes out Monday as well. So $50 for 50 packs. You get the card back, which is actually really cool. But
It's
of course,
amazing.
you can't open those packs till I actually release the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing as TGT.
Yeah,
Yep.
same deal. So it's not just for those of you that don't ever buy packs. If you were ever to consider buying packs, this 50 for 50 deal is the best deal in Hearthstone because
Yeah.
a lot of times you can get $50 worth of currency on Amazon coins through the Amazon store and Kindle like marketplace and all that on an Android.
Yeah.
You can save $5 by getting you basically spend $45, get $50 worth of coins, and even
It's
lots
actually
of times,
42.
yeah, and a lot of times
Sorry.
right now, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I saw that they had it even discounted further, so I was able to get $50 worth of currency for $40. And then
Wow,
I'm going
that's
to
good.
spend those coins on this pre-purchase through my Android phone and save $10 not only that for the 40 packs is what $50 normally gets you 40 packs.
And even if you don't have an Android phone like me, you can actually download an Android emulator on your computer and still do it. It's completely legit.
really
You can look
easy.
up somewhere online on how to do that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Let's see. I guess I will cover the last really cool news that you guys are going to want to know before we get into the deets, as it were. There is a promotional period upon release where every player that logs in, just like Goblins vs. the Gnomes, during that promotional period, which we don't know how long it is or whatever, you log in and you will get access to 3 packs of the new expansion for free. That's 15 free cards. And upon opening your first pack of this set, regardless if you log in or not, you will get c-thun himself, which is one of virtually 20-ish legendaries that you'll get for free. And you will get arguably what we know right now is one of the better cards that buffs c-thun in those 16 card slots. Or I guess not 2. I guess it would be one of them because it's 2 copies of it. You'll get a copy of the... What did I say it's called?
Beckoner of Evil. You get 2 copies of Beckoner of Evil.
Yeah, so you would get the cool card and 2 cards that buff the cool card out of the gate from 1 pack without even including the other cards that you're opening. So very cool stuff.
Yeah, we don't know how long the period's going to be, but Rob and I were looking it up earlier. For GVG, that promotional period was about 2 weeks, a little bit less. So if you're listening to this podcast, you are biting or chomping at the bit to get these. So just make sure you get on that week at some point. I'd just be there on launch day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is really huge. I mean, we're probably going to talk about c-thun a little bit later, but they talked about him being such an integral part of a lot of different cards in the expansion that they didn't feel like it was fair for you to be opening a bunch of packs and getting cards that had something to do with c-thun and then not having him would feel really bad. And they want you to have this excited, happy feeling whenever you open a pack of cards of new cards, neat. And if you have all of these cards that buff c-thun and you don't actually have him and he's a legendary and those can be difficult to get and difficult to craft, then you might be like, oh, well, I can't use that card. So it kind of takes away your feeling of happiness every time you open packs. So that's kind of part of the reason they decided we're going to give everybody c-thun. So you can have that feeling.
I'd be really surprised if this whole project didn't start out as an adventure, because to me it made a lot more sense, even when the rumors started spinning, that for these gods, you know, they're the bosses or they're the, you know, the big legendaries that you're unlocking in each wing, especially with 4 of them. So I'd be really surprised if it didn't start out that way and then it made sense to develop these cards. But then one person was like, wait, what if we corrupt some cards? And they said, oh, we can do so much. Let's do it. And then they decided to make a whole expansion. Yeah. But wait, what do we do about these 20 or so cards we've developed that have to do with that? I love the way they handled it.
So they have the 2 sets of cards of the... Okay, so we have like 6 cards, right? Like 1 card is the legendary, and then we have 2 cards that interact with the legendary, and 2 cards that are completely not interacting with the legendary. And they've called them effectively cultist cards that interact with c-thun, and then they have corrupted or polluted cards that interact with existing Warcraft or Hearthstone well-known creatures and or minions and corrupt them and twist them into what they call a I don't remember what the phrase is that they use, but it's more of like a...
That's a tiny bit misleading the way you're saying it. So it's not, they're not going to do anything to those cards. They are corrupted versions of those cards.
Correct.
So they're completely different cards. Yeah, they're standalone.
They're using that old card or old Warcraft image as a focal point, and then they're recreating that in a more of a split universe type maniacal twin or Mario Wario mentality. Right? Mm-hmm. So they have like the Mario Wario, the Link and Shadow Link type of mentality. Yeah. And the reimagined versions are what they like to say are either something funny or a different spin-off or something that's really evil version of something that's really good, or even something really funny that's something that's like Doomsayer. Like we'll get into those. So let's let Joe break down what cards we're getting. So Joe, why don't you just run us through what cards we're getting, stat lines, a real quick explanation as to what they might be.
Yeah. So first we have the polluted hoarder, which I just realized that kind of sounds like polluted hoarder.
Polluted hoarder.
See what they did?
Yeah, so that's a 4-mana 4/2 Death Rattle draw card. I'll like talk about these cards after we go through all of them. You have Corrupted Healbot, which is a 5-mana 6/6. When it dies, it restores 8 health to the enemy hero. Validated Doomsayer, 5-mana 0/7. At the start of your turn, set this minion's attack to 7. Then you have c-thun, which we've been talking about a bunch. It's a 10-mana 6/6. Battle Cry, deal damage equal to this minion's attack randomly split among all enemies. And the idea is that when you play this card, it won't be a 6/6 because of the cultists that we've been talking about that synergize with the old gods. So we've seen 2 of them. We have Beckoner of Evil, which is a 2-mana 2/3 battle cry. Give your Cthulhu +2/2 wherever it is. So if he's in your deck, your hand, if he's on the field, he'll get +2/2 regardless. And then you have Twilight Elder, a 3-mana 3/4, which then to your turn gives Cthulhu +1/+1 wherever it is as well. And well, they released other gods, whose names I will not try to pronounce. They haven't
Yeah, we
actually
talked
given like
about that
stats or
already.
effects or anything other than that they're going to cost 10 mana.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we have so far.
Yeah, and we'll get into this a little bit more when we start talking strategy about this on this show, but I just want to make this, again, important for the outset of the show. This show is going to be long, yo. Like, we may go a little lengthy this week, and we are cutting other things. We might even cut emails altogether this week and just push those next week. But, like, this is a lot of stuff that we've been reading up on, and we want to make sure you guys have a high-quality show. If you only listen to us, or if you listen to other people, that you're getting a little bit different kind of a show. Even though the normal format, we'll try to keep it to an hour, okay? So that'll be for sure a thing. Sorry, Java wants to decide to update right now. So that being said, let's get into the details, and I'm going to use a news soundbite here. So we'll just get into this basically as news. Okay. Expansion release date. We just went through that. We have the cultist cards.
So we can talk about that for 1 second. So
Yeah, let's talk about
there
the
are
release
people
date.
who are unhappy. We're unhappy. We're going to try and focus on the positive because we got a long way to go before the expansion comes out. And if we start being grumpy now, there's nowhere to go.
So let's
So
start
we're
with
gonna
what
try
you
and
was saying.
keep happy,
what are the
but-
perks? What are the perks we're getting? Like, what's the good
The
stuff?
perks is that
we're
we
gonna
are
be
going to.
getting.
It
Go
is
ahead,
going to be
Andrew.
a good expansion. That's
No
the biggest thing
doubt.
you got to remind themselves. Blizzard is not taking their time so that they can eke out your wallets or make you wait because they're maniacal. Ben Brode wants you to play this game, okay? So it's going to be good. And that's the best thing that you have to tell yourself every time you're upset that it's not coming.
That's exactly right.
They really want new archetypes for each class. That's something that when we saw the corrupted version of Healbot, and in a couple of the interviews they were talking about how they wanted to make that for a priest deck. Like, they're really interested in taking all of these cards that they're adding and making brand new archetypes, especially Druid. We know they're going to work really hard on that. So that's exciting. The fact that we're all really sick and tired of the stale meta decks that are out there right now, and we can look forward to brand new archetypes, brand new decks for all the classes. I think that's like the top of their priority right now.
Yeah, Joe, what's your couple positives that you pulled from this, like, brief announcement, I guess?
What? Sorry, you like cut out there.
Yeah, my internet just dropped. Sorry. Let's try that again. What is kind of? It's doing it again. This will be fun to edit.
I can.
We
I can hear you.
We can
Yeah,
hear
you're
fine.
good.
Stream died. Okay, I think we're back.
Yes, it did.
Panic Basket.
So, what are kind of your big positives that is happening with the expansion that even though it was short, like what are your big guns, I guess you could say, that you're looking forward to?
Honestly,
it's
I'm
ge-
still just I'm just looking forward to Standard more than any of the new cards. Like, looking at the new cards, Cthulhu, I don't know if he'll be good, but he'll be like, I guess I don't want to say wacky because they said that about 1,000 times on stream today on the Blizzard stream, but like every time you play him, something weird is going to happen. I don't necessarily think he'll be OP, but I think it'll be fun to just build cards that like buff him up, and you get to play like a 25/25 Cthulhu and just like kill your opponent from its battle cry or something. That'll be hilarious.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'm most excited for at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I think along those same lines as what Joe was saying, that was going to be what I was going to say. Is like, even though this is kind of like those weird cards that are like 10 mana, one card build around your whole deck type things, it's interesting to me because even though they're trying to make it where it's generally a bad idea for players to say, here's one card, build your whole deck around this, and it's like, what happens if that card's in the bottom 5? Like, then what? I'm just toast. I just lose because I don't get that card in time. or I don't have enough survivability mechanics to get there. And then when I finally draw the card and I play it, I lose, or I don't win right away. Like, that's the goal, right? So if you should have enough time, they're basically scaling this card to be from turn 10 till whenever fatigue lays its ugly head into the game, your c-thun is going to be growing at equal rate as the game progresses to being more and more and more powerful. So they made this card really, really great to, even though it's a one-card build-around card, you're still able to scale your gameplay to get there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what those 16 cards are, because we've only got 2 of them right now. I'll be interested to see if any of them are class cards, because they could just put one class card for each, just to make it interesting. But the more mechanics you have, the more options you have. That lets deck builders go crazy with options. And so it would be a shame if c-thun only had one viable deck, or didn't have any, obviously. So we'd like one more than none. But I'm hopeful that we're going to see at least 2 or 3 that can have a chance at it. Maybe only one will actually be viable for ranked play, but we'll see.
Yep. And important to note, we don't know what other powerful cards we're getting, right, Eve? Like, we have 3 other old gods. We don't even know what they do yet. And they said, not only are we getting 3 more of the old gods, but each one of the old gods will not have an entire deck build around mechanics, per se. But they're all 10-mana cards that are powerful enough to stand on their own. That's pretty freaking cool.
So they've got to be slightly insane. I mean, the way that we were wowed by Elise Starseeker when we first saw her, or Reno Jackson, like, we're going to see some stuff like that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Now,
from
Eve,
listening to all the interviews, the impression that I got was that they know that different people play Hearthstone different ways, and they get different things out of it. So for some people, they really like those decks where there's like one key card or one key theme, like the Murloc decks, put all your Murlocs in, or the mech decks. And so they want to make some decks like that, build around one card or build around one idea. But they know that there are people out there who that is not their thing at all, and they want to make sure that there's enough cards out there for those other people who build decks in different ways.
Yeah.
The min-maxers who try and figure out combo decks and the best way to put together a deck. So I absolutely don't believe that c-thun is going to be the only thing.
Right.
Like, everything's going to revolve around this kind of deck. I think this is just our first little sneak peek of their first thing they want us to get excited about. And it was really a nice thing to be able to say, you're going to get this card for sure. We're going to give it to you. And we're going to give you these 2 cards that go along with him. Like, that was a nice big reveal. But the rest of the cards that come, I know are going to have a different flavor and be able to be played in a different way, because they're very aware of the fact that different people like to play Hearthstone in different ways.
That's the percentage of cards that we've seen so far, less than 4.5%. So
and the less than 4.5% is pertaining to unique cards, which means that we got even less. Like, it's like, realistically speaking,
you get
the
doubles?
volume of cards is going to be much larger. Like, we saw 6 cards, which means we saw technically 10, 11 of the total card pool. Like,
well, no, not out of the 134. It's 134 unique cards.
Yes.
So it's still 4.5%.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I'm pretty sure I heard Ben Brode mention in one of the other interviews that it was going to have about the same amount of class cards that TGT did.
Which is a good thing, because they had more
Yes.
class cards than I think the other sets did. Right?
Chat's hitting on something that I thought about. The Ghost Who Walks was talking about how rogues are going to have fun. I instantly, when I saw Beckoner of Evil and Twilight Elder, I started thinking about Gang Up and Shadow Step, how those might actually be helpful. I mean, we haven't figured out how to
a big thing too.
Brand. Yep. But those, it'll be interesting to see if you can actually, because c-thun started having me think that you need a combo deck, you need a deck that has a lot of draw, so that you can guarantee that you get him at some point. And rogues are pretty good at cycling through cards, because that's what their whole type does. So it'll be interesting to see if that's the class to play.
It would also be
okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a cultist that actually pulled c-thun out of your deck?
No, not yet.
No.
Okay.
The animation whenever you play one of those cards, it'll just show. It'll pop out of nowhere and show you how his stats are.
How big he is at the moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now,
and
Oh, sorry, Eve. I'll just mention this real quick, that this is something that none of the articles really touched on, but I know this is maybe a little bit of digging projection-wise, but when the card says wherever he is, even if he's dead, let's just put it in a meme talk for you, that all the internet can understand a meme. One does not simply kill an old god.
Obviously.
When you're playing Priest and you have a Resurrect card, and your Resurrect happens to hit a c-thun after you've already played buff cards, even after he's died,
Is
that
this
buff
confirmed?
continues.
Is this confirmed?
This is confirmed. And
You have asked Hearthstone this, and
is
it has
in
been confirmed?
This is something that's in the Gara interview, from what I've understood. So, I want to say that this is going to be true. The only thing that I don't understand is how silence will work. Is this a non-silenceable ability?
No, there's no way. I doubt it. Although it's yet to be seen for sure, but I doubt.
And then my next question is, if you silence the minion and then it dies and then it's resurrected, or it's pulled out of the deck, right? Or maybe not pulled out of the deck. Like there's
Then it would
another
start back
mechanic
at
of
base
something
stats
that's
again.
pulled it from the grave. Will it be back the way it was buffed originally, or will it be buffed like it was when somebody Aldored it, or when somebody silenced it?
I bet it'll be the silence mechanic, but we'll see what happens.
Because the real question is, what happens when you get Aldored and then you silence it? Is it a 6/6?
It goes
or is it a
back to
15/15,
base
back to
stats.
what it was?
Yeah, well, I mean, think about Kel'Thuzad. If Kel'Thuzad resurrected him, then he'd be a 6/6 immediately. So if the buffs continue, then it would just be on top of that, I would think. But
Okay, so
Like,
then
I
the real
understand
question
pulling
is,
from
does
your
that
deck,
work?
pulling from your hand, but if you bring it back with Resurrect, that's going to come back with base stats.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about. Is it seems like wherever he is a mentality of something if it's dead or not. Because that's
But
something
there's no
very
actual
old god feel.
graveyard like there is in other card games. Like Magic the Gathering has a physical graveyard where you can pull cards out from where they exist.
Okay.
But this sort of thing, I don't think.
So
I
even
think
though
it
we're
would
in the
come back with
projection
base
stages, let's just run with this for about 5 minutes. How does this work balance-wise? Is this okay for them to do if this is for real?
From what
For
I've
the
heard,
Resurrect?
the
For the
average
Resurrect
stats
mechanic,
seem
yeah.
to be 10 or 12. When you finally pull him out and get to play him, his stats seem to be around 10, 10, 12, 12. So
Or
does
bigger.
that sound decent to you? I mean, averagely. Over a certain amount of games played, they say he averages around that when you pull him out in a regular game.
I think that just because of it, we're going to see some archetypes for Priest to play off of that mechanic. Because if it does work, it's extremely powerful. I mean, if you keep bringing back a 10-10, a 12-12, a 14-14, I mean, think of Infinite Thaddeus. That's a great deck, you know? So if you, it takes a lot of drawing the right cards in order for it to work, though. So it's not just an easy, guaranteed thing. So I think it makes sense that it could be possible and not overpowered. Although it would stink if you're playing up against it and there's nothing you can do.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And
It-
we don't
it
know
might-
what
it
other
might
cards
make
we're getting
Paladin the
still,
new-
too, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paladin's
there's going
new
to be
standard
something
with
probably
Aldor.
set up to prevent him, something to combat him as well.
Kill c-thun forever. That's
Okay.
the stuff.
let's talk Arena, folks. So what's going on with Arena? Joe, you haven't spoken in a while. What's going on with Arena?
I have no idea. I don't play Arena.
Okay, so
That's
I'm
exactly what I was
going on
hoping for.
Wrong person to ask.
It will be the cards will be released in Arena on expansion launch day simultaneously. But they decided that since these cards that have specifically to do with c-thun have a very small chance of you also getting c-thun in Arena, that they are going to remove c-thun and his associated cards from Arena.
Which is a
So-
good call.
Some people think that's weird, but for me, I think it's finally an attempt at taking super, super bad cards out of Arena that don't work in Arena, which should make Arena people happy.
And it looked like in that Polygon article, he said that they're not opposed to doing that with other similar kind of cards, like maybe Fugenstalag, stuff like that. But they don't want to. They don't want it to just be the go-to.
Yeah,
They
two-card
said that when they
combo
were
is
play
different than,
testing
like a
it,
16 card combo.
yeah. They said when they were play testing it, those cultist cards came out a lot, And if you don't get c-thun, then they're.
It just feels like
It looks like they're pretty good on vanilla, which is great
Yeah.
for those being viable,
standard
but
basic vanilla
not
cards.
as much fun nearly
Yep.
without them.
Okay, what do we got next here? Tribes. What's going on with tribes, guys? Looks
We're
like-
gonna get some of everything basically. Nothing new. Yeah. No new keywords or anything like that, which is probably good because I think we've gotten something new in every expansion or adventure so far, pretty much. So it's about time that they kind of take a step back and take it easy. I mean, that means that the next thing that we get is probably going to be all the more prevalent, But and I guess we've got something cool enough with the cultists and c-thun that is different. It's going to create a different play style.
I
just
did
fundamental.
hear in the article where they're talking about the mechanic, or not the mechanic, where they're talking about the reimagining of cards, similar to TGT's Flame Lance versus Fireball. They're doing something like that with like a maniacal twist, like the Mario Wario thing we discussed in the outset, but they're doing that with their spells. So we don't know which ones we're getting yet. They wouldn't release anything, but they did say that reimagining thing is a set-wide design decision. So they're looking for cards and spells and weapons and things that may interact with either c-thun or may interact with whatever the set imagining could be. So does that make sense, guys? Like,
Yeah, I
Okay.
just thought of Corrupted Onyxia.
yeah. So let's go.
You
into
remember
that,
playing
right?
her in the raid?
Yeah.
Well, just like, for me, I love Dragon Priest, right? So when I heard there's going to be new dragons, my ears perked up, and I was like, new dragons? What can I put in my priest deck?
Yeah, exactly.
And the whole corrupted thing just made me think of the Onyxia raid, where she's like got her flesh falling off her bones, and she's like all evil and twisted, and
Yeah,
that would have been a really
and
cool
even
dragon card to
Deathwing-
make.
Even Deathwing in his own form that is in Hearthstone currently is after the dragon aspects were stripped of their power in the lore, and he was influenced by the old gods to become more powerful and power hungry, and thus was basically rejected by the dragon aspects and imprisoned in the maelstrom. So we could see maybe a corrupted Deathwing. Like, that's just a possibility. Right?
Neltharion?
Neltharion, yeah. Neltharion was his original dragon aspect name, because they didn't say that they're all going to be evil versions, right? We have the maniacal, happy version of a Doomsayer, the validated Sayer, right? So I'm projecting that we could see anything like that. Like, the realm of possibility is infinite if you look at what their design goggles they had on when they're going into this expansion. That's what we want to look for as we see new cards.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that'll be
Corrupted
fun.
Hogger, that's just fun. Just the things that you could do with that.
Especially if he comes out of a animal companion, but probably not.
That doesn't actually sound that fun.
Hogger,
Or interactive.
Hogger isn't a beast, though, right?
Always corrupted Hogger.
Always corrupted.
Is
every
Hogger a
time.
beast?
Hogger is,
Hogger's
yeah,
a beast, I think.
Hmm.
he is.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The only other thing about Arena is that the GVG packs are going to be removed as rewards, and old gods will come in and take that slot.
Yes, and no affirmation
Nice.
or there's no confirmation or denial that we are going to have the option to choose which packs in Arena still. Still sounds like it's just going to be like the old system, but they haven't said anything official on that.
Which, whatever. That's
Yep.
fine.
We also know that the last thing on Arena is that the Old Gods sets not only will be rewarded in Arena, but the Arena set will also launch the same day. There's no like preview stuff that we know about yet that's going to happen with Arena. That happens before.
Hey,
the
guys.
Which
expansion.
is a little disappointing, because that was so fun when they did it with GVG, when they just started showing up in
Hogger's
Arena, and
not
everyone
a
was like,
beast.
what? New cards? Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to give credit to chat real quick that
Yeah.
we were calling him Hogger and he's Huffer. Whoops.
Huffer's a beast.
Huff-
not
No,
Hogger.
I think whoever said Animal Companion was confusing Huffer and Hogger. I was talking about Corrupted Hogger,
Yeah.
the legendary.
Yeah.
You were.
The one that
King
pumps
Gibbs
out 2/2 with taunt. That's what I was talking about.
That would be pretty cool.
Oh.
Legendary.
Yeah, because the corrupted thing has a silver dragon on it. The one in the opening?
It could be a null technically, corrupted null.
It could be.
So that's what
but
Hogger
Hogger's a
spawns.
legendary. the corrupted version's a legendary. It could be corrupted Hogger. I don't know. That's where I took it when I saw it anyway.
We'll see.
One other thing, people were saying, when are we going to find out what you're going to do with the classic cards, how you're going to change them? And Ben Rhodes said that sort of information we're going to get very, very close to the release, like late April, early May. Because to him, it feels bad to lose to cards when you know they're going to change.
Right.
When you know, if this had been changed like they said it was going to be changed, then I wouldn't have lost to it kind of feeling. So they don't want you playing this entire time knowing that card is going to be different. So we're going to find out what classic cards they're changing later.
Okay, and then last, before we progress into strategy with our new cards, crafting guides, other speculations, and deck recipe news, the last update is that this March 21st will be the date that Hearthstone starts the promotion where they drive people to their website in order to help them participate with which cards will next be revealed. My projection, as Andrew and I were discussing in the pre-show, we think it's going to be similar to the TGT. Go to the website, vote for this card, boom, it's that card by the end of the day. Next day, new 2 cards you vote on. You get to see what they look like in the card art, but you don't get to see any.
I kind of want to disagree because they haven't really done the same thing twice, have they? Like, they're always looking for new ways.
No, they've done this for every expansion.
They've done it for all of the expansions.
The voting thing?
Yeah.
They did it for GVG, they did it for TGT, and now it's time for Old Gods. So
I thought they just gave a whole bunch of cards to different websites to reveal.
They only
They
did that.
did
with
did that
Adventures.
also. No, they did that also.
They did both.
Oh,
they
they did
released
both.
like
You're
30
right.
cards on their website, and then they released the rest like with different websites or streamers or things like that.
Right.
Which
So
hopefully,
there's a lot of cards.
they said that they will do that also, and I'm hoping that we'll see some of those before March 21st. Because if you tell me we're going 10 days without anything, that's worse than the.
That goes back to what Eve said at the beginning of the show, where it's like, "Are you kidding me? We stayed for the whole stream and we only saw 6." And they said, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, we're probably going to get some more cards to post. And if I get the opportunity to watch the stream before the show is fully edited, I may just add a little thing at the end saying, "Hey guys, this is another card that you're getting at the end of the show notes," but no promises. So,
I think they listen to the community, and the community is very loudly saying, "We are so sick and tired of waiting. Give us the cards." So they might be pushing their luck a little bit if they do the whole revealing one at a time vote on this.
Yep.
Because the mood is a little grumpy.
Okay.
And they like doing things differently, and they like changing it up and surprising us. So I'm hoping it'll be something we don't expect.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Let's go back to news, and let's see what we're getting with deck recipes. Like, Joe, did you run through all this already? I feel like we did
The
talk
deck
about
recipe stuff.
Yeah.
I touched on it a little bit, but
Okay.
there's a couple things I didn't mention. The idea that there's like basic and classic recipes. So if you only have like cards from those sets, and there'll be deck recipes that like kind of cater to those sets. So especially if you just started out playing or something like that, that'll probably be really helpful. And then there's themed recipes too for each class, and those will be for standard. So it doesn't look like they're gonna adjust them for wild, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like complained that they wouldn't give attention to wild, so
I think it's because they're kind of gearing these for new players.
Right.
Like us, we already know where to get information for decks. Like we go online, we find the pros, we look at their decks, things like that. But people, possibly older people, starting to play Hearthstone that don't have this idea of go onto the internet and search these different websites and find decks, and they're starting to play Hearthstone, this would be for them. For people who don't know how to make decks and don't know where to look for the information to make decks. And they kind of want to funnel new players into standard. Because wild is going to get huge, and it's going to be overwhelming, and there's going to be so many cards that it's like way more friendly for new players to just kind of funnel them towards standard and say, it's a smaller group of cards that's a lot easier to handle, to understand, to memorize, to know how they work. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Andrew, any other thoughts on that?
Nope. It'll be okay. I don't think it's anything to go nuts about, but it'll be a helpful tool. I mean, I'm one of those people who doesn't quite know how to create decks on my own, so maybe it'll help me, but maybe I'll just keep doing what I have been doing and just make slight modifications to stuff I find.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'd like is to get a pro's idea of how good those decks are. Like if you got somebody to kind of go in and look at them and give an idea
they did
how
say
well
that the
put together
decks
they are.
were built not on competitive play. They did say that in the closed door interview with Gara that he posted on YouTube with Blizz's permission. Like, he said these decks are built around tribes to help people learn deck building and synergies and how card combos work, and not necessarily on building you the best decks. Like, they want the players to be the ones that bridge the gap from the beginner level to the advanced level. So if they're giving a beginner a tool, they're not going to give the beginners the best stuff on a platter and say, just work for this. That's the job of the community and the third-party program or third-party websites, and allowing the community to come together and make those decks as a group, and then build the community up. And shows, like, they're not removing our responsibility as a podcast to do what we say that we want to do in the community, which is help you guys get better.
But it doesn't feel good to lose.
Exactly.
Like, are they good enough, say, around rank 20 to get you a chance at ranking up?
Yeah, they'll probably
That
get
sort
it
of
ranked
thing.
20 and maybe up to like 15 by the end of the season, but don't take these into like tournaments and stuff because I'll smack you around.
Right.
So
That's
do
gonna
take
happen.
them, right?
If
want
you
them
want to bring those decks into
Everybody bring
tournaments,
them.
if you want to like maybe bet money on games with those
Make sure
decks
you call
against
Midway
me,
first.
like you know where to find me.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
another cool thing...
they'll be
Okay.
helpful, but they won't be like super competitively viable, which is fine because that's not what they're there for.
Exactly. The cool thing about the recipes that they asked in a question was that the devs had answered the question by saying that they're built for beginner players and stuff, and they even have replacements and stuff, and they even like stopped additional questions by basically saying that the developers have improved how the recommendations work and the deck builder helper in the game. So that's something that you guys can actually anticipate as coming Monday. Deck recipes and the deck helpers actually getting enhanced. They said that the search engine is better and you can search gold cards and there's newer stuff there.
You know what this means?
It's like so much better for randomizing your decks and stuff for Tavern Brawl. and
That's
keeping around.
exactly what I was thinking. When we do random decks against each other,
They're not going to be
and they
infinitely
are
bad.
so crap. So crap.
Sideshow
when you
spells
have, like-
eater every time without fail.
Oh. When you
Yes.
have mad scientists and you have no secrets and
Or
yeah,
Kieran
just
Tormage with no secrets, even though that's been in the game since closed alpha. Like,
so
what?
I'm really looking forward to an improvement in random decks against friends. That will be
Yep.
happy.
Okay, last thing on the news. I put this in the news article, but Rayned had done an interview with PC Gamer on to what cards he thinks that should be nerfed, and not just nerfed, but actually projected why they were a problem and what projections he thinks would calm that issue. He targeted Big Game Hunter, Knife Juggler, Leper Gnome, Mountain Giant, and Molten Giant, and I can't remember the other cards, but I think I covered most of them.
Ice Block,
Ice Block was one of them.
Iron
Yes.
Beak Owl.
Oh my gosh.
And Owl. Yep. So if you guys want to read that, we're only going to discuss one card on the show because we're running out of time already. But the card that I want to talk about is Big Game Hunter, because
What?
that card,
Is that card a problem?
Yeah,
No,
that
it's
card's
not.
No, it's not.
Redonkulous.
You can't. The problem with Big Game
You
Hunter
need
is you
it.
can't remove it because giants are a thing. You'll never beat Handlock if they take Big Game Hunter out. Everyone will just play double Molten, double Mountain, and you'll lose the game.
You
Every
need
time.
to have him.
Big
He's
Game
an answer.
Target. The reason that Raynad brought it up is because he said that Big Game Targets are more of a large shotgun that kills one minion as opposed to like a sniper rifle that's aimed at specific minions, if that makes sense. Like, you don't want the Big Game Hunter to target pretty much anything that has 7+ attack. You want it to be able to target specific problems. Like it's an epic card. It targets a specific problem.
And the other thing he mentions is that it just makes any card that's 7 attack or more potentially not as good. So
Right.
a 6/7 is way more powerful than a 7/7.
Right. And even Blizzard, like I said before in the Gara interviews, and I just point to Gara because he's the interview that I found, but a lot of people got this, so if you're listening to this show and you're a pro or something like that, don't get upset. But, like, this is the video I have as a reference for the closed-door meeting. But, like, they said that Big Game Hunter is one of the cards that they're actually really looking at how to change. And it makes sense that they're spending so much time on changing it because it's a complex issue. It's a multi-tiered thing, like Joe was saying. The Giants are just, like, super oppressive if you don't have it. That was their original plan on having Big Game Hunter in the game, is it's got to stop Warlock from getting this powerhouse turns on turn 4 and in the late game where they just drop double Moltons and destroy you.
Well, if they find a better way to deal with that problem, then yeah, we could look at Big Game Hunter. But until there are other solutions, he's got to stick around.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why Reynad had targeted not only Big Game Hunter in his article, but he also targeted the Giants. He basically said, make Mountain Giant a 13 mana minion just so you can't play him on turn 4 as a Warlock. And then make the Molten Giant 23 mana with the same effect, so that it takes a lot more health degeneration in order to play them. So you're getting more dangerously close to being dead.
I don't know, getting down to 10 is pretty damn low. How much lower would you want to get?
Well,
The thing, you don't have to play it for
you don't have
free,
to play
right?
them for 0. A lot of times
Like, how
you play
cheap
for
can you
5.
play it and still be happy? Like, a 4
True,
mana 8/8
but
is
by the
different
time
shit.
you get yourself out to 10 health, how far through the game have you gone?
Pretty far, usually.
If you're
That's
playing
the
against
idea.
Face
Depends
Shaman?
on what archetype you're playing against.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's pretty even. The fact that it takes a long time to get down, and it takes a long time to bring out the Moltons, and then you bring them out and,
Except if you
taunt
can
him up.
drop 2 or 1 and your opponent's like almost out of answers. Like Big Game Hunter is just one more answer that's an elimination for that issue. There's not enough
Yes,
hard
but you've
removal.
gone halfway through the game, so hopefully they have something on the board, otherwise they don't deserve to win.
The
Whereas
thing is, like, against, like, face decks, you can drop Molten Sun Fury on turn 6 if you're at 12 health, which is, like, a very realistic thing that that happens quite a bit. Well, I'm not, like, advocating for face decks. That's kind of problematic, because there's almost no way to come back from that if you can't just throw spells over the top.
But that's the thing with face decks. Face decks are all or nothing. That's their whole thing. So they're playing a risky game.
The
They can
problem
also
is, and this is a
not
problem...
hit face, which is what people do before until they've got lethal, and hold off so that the Warlock can't put down their Moltons. It's another strategy.
The problem that, like, Reyna probably has with it, and the problem I have with it, and it's a problem I have with Reno Jackson, actually, as well, is that you really don't, like, a lot of the decisions you make don't really matter. It's like, do you have it? All right, then you win. If you don't, then I win. Like, it's the same way with Reno. Like, you're playing face deck, and they're playing a Reno deck. If they draw Reno, you never win the game. If they don't draw Reno, you probably win it 90% of the time. And it's just not really... It's just a way of flipping most of the time instead of actually playing Hearthstone.
Yeah, it's
You're
a
right,
one,
it doesn't
it's a one
feel good.
card feel-good mentality for one player. It's not like
But
you're
to the
grinding
other
out the whole
player-
game and then they just drop them and you lose. It's like...
But to the other player, Face Hunter doesn't feel good either.
Yeah, so
but
you have to find,
Face
like,
Hunter
the
had
balance
6 turns of
between it,
setup,
right?
whereas you have 1.
Yeah, but setup is put a minion down, hit you in the face with it. Take a weapon out, hit you in the face with it. Like,
That's
that-
a legitimate strategy, though.
for people who are building a board, who are building a plan, just to get whacked in the face every turn without having any chance to set up or defend or counter, that doesn't feel good either. So, I don't know. For a face hunter to complain about Warlock Handlock feeling bad, I'm kind of like, you two deserve each other. Like, feels bad
I agree
either
in
way.
a certain sense, but not with a specific style of card. Like, the reason that if you target the Giants is because the Giants were oppressive if BGH isn't in the picture. That's the real issue. So, like, if you nerf the Giants and you have to, like, let's just put it this way. You have to nerf the Giants if you want to make BGH target dragons, which is exactly what Reynad did. He said, BGH can destroy any dragon, period. It's still specific, but yet slightly broad, and then the Giants are nerfed at the same time so that they're a little bit less oppressive, aka 23 mana and 13 mana as opposed to 12 and 20. Okay, so let's just move on. I think we kind of beat this one at a dead horse, but that's just what Raynette had said. It's a single player's opinion. We've got a good discussion on it. I'm satisfied with. So
I'd have to think about that.
Let's move on. Recipes. Last thing about recipes. They will be updated regularly. Guaranteed at least one theme will rotate into the new expansion. So, obviously, the 2 themes that you have in your collection manager on Monday will change when the old gods are released. One of those themes will go away. The other will come in. There's also one of them as being I think they said it's like there's 2 themed and there's a classic recipe. Classic recipe is literally just basic and classic cards only. That's it. So they build a deck with just those cards. So that's really nice for new players, especially.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because you get your, like, you might buy your 50 packs, get a whole bunch of cards, and go, okay, now what do I do? And they go, here, we have a suggestion. Here's a deck. You probably have these cards. Put it together, play.
Yeah.
And you can start right out. Good to go.
Yep.
The other thing we haven't talked about is gold.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I want the gold.
I want
to know where the gold's at.
I'm just saving it all. I'm not even buying arena runs. I'm just letting it
monkey with
stack.
all my gold.
So Vincent helped us out, and he ran the numbers. He found out that if you average the worst possible scenario, which we're saying is 40 gold on a goal, and then you win 3 games that day, that's 50 gold that you can get a day for just a few matches. After 6 weeks, if that's when it comes out, you got 2,100 golds. That's 21 free packs for your hard work and effort. So that's not bad.
Cold hard gold.
And there's really... Yeah, there's no reason to buy anything right now other than the first wing of Naxxramas you should buy if you have not yet.
Also,
because that will
heard
give
of
you
a
the option to buy the
funny
rest of them with
trend,
gold.
Andrew, I heard about this from a friend of mine, Connor.
What's that?
If he's in the chat, what's up? But Connor's one of my buddies at the eBash local LAN hangout on Wednesdays, and he said a lot of people are starting to buy one GVG pack and just always have it in their collection unopened.
That's
just
cool.
sitting there, and they're like, oh, I just
like
want to have
that.
the nostalgia of having the little thing was like bzzzt. But it's really cool because
Or
like,
you
yeah,
can-
I just have it.
Oh, because you're not going to be able to buy them or get them anymore.
Right.
Well,
That cool opening animation.
sort of. They kind of gave us a hard, yes, this is never going to happen again. And then they said, but what about if we have the stuff coming out of the vault with the packs? Oh, this would be so cool.
Yeah, I bet at some point they'll bring it back.
Yeah, but that would be the
something.
adventures, right? That wouldn't be
Yeah.
the card packs.
Yeah, but you can't just...
No, the
sit-
card-
I can see like
it's
a
digital
future
card
with
game,
like
you can do whatever you
wild
want.
packs.
What's that, Joe?
I can see a future where you have like wild packs, like a year or 2 down the road, where they just have a pack that has all the cards that are have been rotated
Especially
out
when
of
it's a
standard
lot of
format. That
cards.
seems like something.
That's not a bad idea.
Like a legacy pack.
Yeah, but quite honestly, wild packs would have a lot smaller odd of getting the card that you want because there's such a bigger card pool, so it would be better to have individual.
But if they don't have that option, then they might
And they
do
just
something
decide
else like
to
this.
make a big, huge, yeah, to
They could.
change their UI and make it more
Yeah.
streamlined. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing I wanted to offer, if we got any listeners who say, I just spend all my gold on packs and I can't keep it in my wallet. Here's what you need to do. You need to go to hearthpwn.com. You need to click on the little button on the top right that says packs, and you can open unlimited fake packs and you'll get points. And they have a leaderboard on there for how high the points were. And you could get on that leaderboard. So just click on there, and it's completely free, and none of your gold will go away. You won't buy 500 duplicates of cards you already have, and get meaningful dust that you probably won't use. So there you go. You're welcome.
Or you can go to tempostorm.com for a free code of... I'm just kidding. You can go to tempostorm.com for... they have that legacy thing. If you want to do something and the meta's really stale for you, do it. That legacy stuff's sick.
That's pretty
like, you get
cool,
those,
yeah.
open those packs, build a couple decks, do best of 5 with your friends. I know... Joe, have you done that at all with some of your buddies?
Not yet. I've been
Okay.
trying to get Bloody to do it with me, but we both been pretty busy.
Yeah, but it
So-
sounds awesome. Like,
It looks like a lot of fun. I've seen like streamers and stuff do it. It looks like a good time.
yeah, and the nice thing is you can even do this on ESH, like by betting your coins against people and say, hey, we're gonna do a restriction, and you have to do the draft, and that would be really cool. But yeah, so what other stuff?
That is
we got
such a
in
neat
here?
idea, Andrew. I have never heard of that, but that is
Go
hilarious.
try it out. It's actually pretty fun.
Nice, nice. So I have one other thing that we're going to go back to before we go into our final section of thanking our listeners for just hanging with us and where you can find us. But that will be Polygon's actually had a very interesting piece about talking with Broad specifically as to why this is taking so gosh darn long for them to upload. So... What do you guys think? And I don't know. I actually don't know which ones you guys have read the article besides myself and Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, they were just talking about how they know, basically. I mean, they could give us the whole detailed list for if they had a whole thing figured out and something technical happened, or they have a lot of cards that the balance they can't quite get right on yet. They could fill us in with those details, but really, what does it matter? We just got to get to a point where we trust them, we're okay with it. Okay, we wish it looked different, but it doesn't. 2 months will go by like that, and then it'll be like none of this ever happened.
Yep. A couple other key things that I think Broad and the article had stated was it's not ideal for what the devs even want, but they're also testing stuff out. Like, they understand that they've done it really fast, and Broad said, I know of a player that's a friend of mine that quit playing because Nax was released too quickly. And I understand that that was an outlier as to the casual player, but Hearthstone is meant to be catered towards the entire population of the game, not just the casuals and not just the competitive people and not just the tournament goers, but they're trying to experiment as to, even though the majority of the people at the top level or even podcasters or super committed players are really irritated at this, just how many of those people's opinions are actually not being shared on a regular basis of people that think it is too fast and they're just like, forget it, there's way too many cards, or forget it, they're releasing stuff too quick for me.
The other big thing was formats.
For, right?
And the other thing was formats, right.
They've been working really hard on trying to balance that, so they've been spread a little bit thin on those.
Yep, so those are the two huge
what he said
hitters
was
there.
that Standard was the one that he wanted to have the turnover fairly quick, fairly fresh, so that there wasn't any time where it was getting stale. So that doesn't really... I mean, I understand that they
But
probably
they know,
have a lot of
But they know
underlying
how
problems.
stale it is right now.
They're not sitting up on some tower unaware of what's going on. Just like you said, they listen to us. So they are well aware of our thoughts and opinions, and they were able to make the best choice that it's going to be this day. So...
Yep, okay.
It is kind of a Blizzard thing not to release things until they're ready, even if everyone is getting grumpy and angry and saying, give it to us now. It's kind of like their motto. Until we're ready, we don't put it out there. It's not going to come out broken, half done.
I do think the biggest bummer is that they spoiled us with League of Explorers.
They did.
Because that was such an irrationally fast turnaround time that now this really does feel like a bit longer because of that. But that's a risk that they took, and that's okay.
Yep.
We loved it. Everyone was so hyped. And it is an adventure instead of an expansion, so I imagine that that's a little bit easier with the less amount of cards that came out.
Yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, was really hoping something like that would happen.
Okay, so let's give our viewers the exact dates as to what they're looking at. So late April qualifies as basically Monday the 18th, and all the way up until March 12th. So that's or March 13th, sorry. That is a 4-week window. And probably people... Yeah, you're right. May 13th, I'm sorry. So March 18th is like a Monday. That's the second to last week of April. And the 13th is the second week of May. So let's just put in predictions just for fun. I'm going to say I think that the expansion is going to be April 26th, which is a Tuesday, the last week of April.
April 29th.
Okay, Eve is saying the last week of April, the Friday.
Sorry, guys. May 24th.
Whoa!
Day in May?
I'm sorry, but that's seriously
May.
when I think it... Huh?
That seems
I know.
realistic, to be honest.
You think they really hit a big snag big enough for that?
I think that they're taking their time, and they will delay it if it means it's going to be higher quality. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I think it's going to be May 3rd because on May 6th I'm going to play at DreamHack, which is like a $30,000 tournament. So,
Of course they
just
would
to
drop
screw
it.
that up for everyone.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is fun and interactive.
April 29th is my birthday, so that's what I'm saying. It's gonna come
Hey,
out
there
of
you
a
go.
There you go.
Be a nice birthday present.
I'm just...
Because Blizzard knows.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's get to the thank you section as we get through here.
Thank you.
All right, so we're skipping emails again. Sorry, guys. We'll get you guys in next week, I promise. But we want to say specific thank you to our Patreon supporters. Eve, who are our Patreon supporters, and how lovely are they?
They are very lovely. We appreciate them so much for appreciating us. John H., Pratap N., Gabriel Z., and Garrett S. Thank you so much for liking us enough to give us money.
You each get double thumbs up.
Yes.
All right, and we have 2 iTunes reviews in the midst of the dross that is current standard. But, Andrew, who is our very first iTunes review from for this week?
Joey SS00 says, more than just for budget players. New listener here. At first, I was kind of turned off that the podcast said buffs budget players. I love this game, and I always buy at least 150-pack per expansion and always purchase the solo content and the occasional arena run, so I wouldn't consider myself a budget player, but I gave this podcast a chance. They don't just cater to the budget player only. They talk about all sorts of topics, so if you're an experienced player, you should give them a chance as well. Also, I love the show. The guys and girl are awesome. I do have to say, though, with much love, that Hamboy kind of reminds me of Ben Stein with the way he talks.
Confirmed scientist, Hamboy Williams.
Not actually the first Ben Stein comparison I think I've ever gotten. So
Really, that's
That's great.
I do want to say that actually sounds like a budget player to me. Because to me... Yeah, to me, like somebody who's not a budget player is someone who goes out and buys all the packs until they have all the cards, or until they have like most of the legendaries. Like just spends like $200 on the game. You know, there are people who do that, who just buy packs until they have.
Let's
you know,
be careful not to
all the
put
cards.
that necessarily on Joey's side of saying I'm not a budget player, because I think he's probably correct. It's probably more of our fault by saying we didn't really give people an accurate representation of what we have defined a budget player to be. We've basically just defined any budget player to be somebody who just has a limited collection in any sense. And a limited collection could mean they're just missing 2 legendaries. A limited collection could be missing a lot of cards.
To me, it means
Technically,
you
a
can't
budget-
just make any deck, right? You're missing things.
technically a budget is when you plan your spending. So as long as you're planning your spending, you could be planning millions of dollars to do. No, I'm just playing. That's probably not.
To
The
me,
troll is
it's like
strong at
when
this
a
one.
new deck comes out and they're like, this is the new deck that's the top of the charts, and you're missing cards from it because you don't have every card in the game. You don't have all the legendaries. You don't have all the epics. You're still trying to fill a bunch of probably fairly big holes in your collection. That's what budget is to me. You didn't
but we're
spend until you had everything.
But we're super thankful, Joey, that you gave it a shot, and it is fun and interactive
Absolutely.
and helpful for you.
Took the words
Yeah.
right out of my mouth. We're so glad that you were able to even just give us a shot, listen to one show. That's so tremendous. And then the next
Show.
step would
The
be
show.
even giving us the iTunes review is just the next extra mile. So thank you so much.
Mhm.
Eve, why don't you read our next review? Or I'm sorry, you read the first one, didn't you?
No,
is that-
No.
Okay.
that was
me.
Andrew.
Okay, sorry.
I can see how you get us confused, though. Wait, no.
I'm not even going to
Okay.
comment. I'm just going to keep digging
So
that hole.
Slick Jay says, love it. I just started at episode 23 when you talked about the new standard format. Binged the next 3 shows right after. Love the podcast. Aw.
Wow.
You 3
binged.
definitely have some
Nice.
fresh views on the new content and playing. I like that you guys talk to the budget players rather than the general public. My wife and I started a challenge with each other recently. We both started a new account on EU, and by the end of the month, whoever ended up with a higher rank on ladder without spending money won the challenge. I love this idea. It's so cool. I won at rank 16. I give this podcast the credit. Thanks, guys. That's such a cool idea.
That is very
Husband
cool.
and wife playing together video games, I'm also very on board with that.
Yep. My wife
great.
would totally play Hearthstone if she didn't have to play other people. I don't know what it is, but she just has a fear of PvP anything.
I actually have a buddy who all he does is play the Innkeeper over and over again, so she can do that.
Yeah, yeah. So
I feel the same way about Heroes of the Storm. Like, I'm fine playing the AI.
Yep.
I can like putter around and do that, and I'm very comfortable. But going against other players,
Yeah, that community
Not
is just suicide sometimes. So, all right, Joe, why don't you run our lovely listeners how they can get involved with our show?
Sure, you can review the show on iTunes like those people that we just did, and then we'll read them and laugh at them or whatever. And then you can support us on Patreon. Send us some money. You can hang out with us on Discord. I'm on Discord now. You can ask me various questions about decks, and I know I see Rob and Andrew on there a lot as well, I think, so
It's
come do
pretty
that.
cool, yeah.
You can
It's
chat
really
with us
cool.
on Twitter. You can play some Hearthstone with us. You can get one of us to coach you through your plays. Get a collection coaching standard, although,
It'll be a
that's
little
going to be
longer.
after standard, which is, that's going to be a while.
We'll just tell you to
And
save your
then
dust.
send us some emails. We'll read them eventually. We didn't get to them this week, but we will read them on the show, I promise. And yeah, that's it. You can find us
Especially
on a
with
bunch
the new
of different
expansion.
social media. I'm sure Rob can go through all of our
Yeah, I'm
wonderful
going to
accounts.
actually stop doing that for the most part. You guys can find us pretty much everywhere. Like, our
Go to
frickin' stamp is on
valenschosen.com.
every website. So,
yeah, valenschosen.com. Period. There you go. Find
yeah,
everything.
find all the links there in the show notes, VODs, everything. Even if you're on an iTunes listener, you can find anything and everything you want. The only thing we will touch on, because we had the lovely Mr. James Heldridge on our one of our first 10 ever shows. He just showed up. He's like, I love your guys' show. I'm going to give you guys a free code for my website. I was like, you're the CEO. You do what you want. So 5,000 coins. If you want to play on ESH or Esports Hero, you can get 5K for Velen's Chosen 15 promo code. So you just get that for listening to the show. Let's just run through real quick where people can find us, and then we'll get out of here, and you guys can hang out with your fams. So, Andrew, start with you today. Where can people
I'm on
find
Twitter at Andrew is Living, or you can find some arena tips on YouTube at BinacaFreak. But really, you should look up Ratsma. He put out a new arena guide, which we'll
really
probably talk
good.
about later, because I watched it today and it was really helpful for me. And you can go ahead and add me on BattleNet. Andrew is live number 1973. I got to say real quick that I probably get 2 to 3 people a week just messaging me out of nowhere while I'm playing, saying, "Hey man, just wanted to say love the show," and that means a lot. Just right under an iTunes review, it's awesome
right
to
up
hear
there.
from you guys. Just that you love the show and that you listen. That puts gas in the tank. So thank you for that.
Joe, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at hamboy12_HS. I'm on Twitch at hamboy12. If you want to add me on BattleNet, just message me on Twitter and I'll shoot you a friend request.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about it.
All right, Eve, what about you?
Who,
Where
me?
You at? Where you at, girl?
I
In the
on Twitter
cyberwebs.
The Cyphers.
Finnavar, FHINNOVARR, on Twitch as Evemartyn, on BattleNet. Send me a message and I will send you my BattleNet if you are not an egg. Also, I'm on PlayStation 4, playing Destiny and Final Fantasy as Evemartyn on PlayStation Network. What?
I'm just visualizing all of the egg puns from the last couple Egg Paladin games that Robert said when you say that every time. It's like, Eve's going to scramble every one of your requests if you're an egg. Get out. Take a lap. All right, you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at NotRob. I have been recently being really weird on Snapchat, so you can find me on NotRobMay on Snapchat if you want. No link in the show notes for that. Just add me. Steam has a new March Madness thing coming up for Rocket League, and since Hearthstone's getting a little on the tough side for me to play, I may go venture into that because they're adding a basketball hoop into Rocket League, so that sounds fun. You can have me at Sir Twig on Steam, and then you can do some fadeaway jump shots with me in twos. You can find me at NotRobMay on Twitch. Outside of the show, that's also where we post the show. And on Facebook, I do some design stuff. You'll see a new design maybe coming soon, and and some photography work at NotRobMedia. Last plug, My friend Andres from Hearthaholics that just stopped podcasting and I are starting at the end of this month. We are starting a Overwatch exclusive strategy only themed podcast for helping people get better and strategic at how they pick their champions and heroes and play. And that is called the Omnic Lab, OMNICLAB, and we are on all the same sites as Velen's Chosen. I'll get you all links later, but if you're looking for it, just search us up or message me on Twitter if you want my BattleNet. Thank you guys for such a great show, giving us iTunes reviews, supporting us on Patreon. You guys are awesome. We're going to do this show.
And we should also say that this is the very beginning of talking about Whispers. So we just barely scratched the surface here. We'll talk more strategy, deck construction, especially as new cards roll out.
Exactly.
And if they roll them out super slow, then it'll just give us lots of time to talk in depth about each one. So.
Exactly.
Which they
and then we can
probably
even
will.
have time for our discount decks of the week a little bit more as we move forward. And I will be certain to give us a really cool guide next week because I think it's my turn this week coming up. So,
Awesome.
And thanks, Joe, for being our recurring guest as usual, for showing up when we don't have crazy popular guests. Joe is the best recurring guest that's a pro.
He is the crazy popular one.
He is the crazy popular guy that nobody knows about. So he'll get there.
Oh, my God.
That hurt. That hurt a little bit.
You're like unintentional burning him with everything you say.
Oh, no, this is intentional burning. Joe knows this.
Keeps going in. Just hard.
Just going down this tunnel, man. Let's keep...
Okay, before I thought you were just doing it by accident, and now I know it's mean.
Yep. I'm trolling it like Asmo does on Twitch with his comments about Korra's Secret Paladin almost every time he's on there. It's really funny. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for visiting Exodar. You guys rock. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Peace.
Take this time to consider your past deeds.
Stop asking questions. You had your chance. Did I miss it?
All right, y'all, you're clear. You're clear.
Ooh.
I'm gonna add that to the recording. Rip.